experience the full power of the dark side. Good!
We will deal with your rebel friends soon enough.
What the? Misa back!
Prepare to fire!
Oh no!
Hello and welcome back to Star Wars Beyond the Stars for episode number 19. Recorded on Wednesday, January 21st, 2015. I'm your host, Fred, aka Sith Lord Corv. And joining me tonight is Agent Olan.
Hello, Fred. Thank you for the intro. Hello, everyone on Twitch. Hello, YouTube. What is going on? And as always, greetings from Imperial Intelligence.
You mean Sith Intelligence?
Imperial Intelligence.
Aren't you the damn
Spoilers!
commander?
Spoilers.
I do enjoy how you choose to represent a disbanded organization.
You just ruined the moment for a bunch of players who haven't reached that far in the storyline yet.
F those players. They should play faster. And also joining us is Captain Kimbray.
What's up?
And of course, what journey on the Crimson Sea Biscuit Hawk would be complete without ID-10 tree? Ugh.
ID-10 Treek. That would be the biggest nightmare in the world if those two became one. Ugh.
Well, it's kind of weird that Shriek's sitting on top of ID-10T. Like, see, that's not right.
And by your powers combined, I am Captain Yup Yup.
ID-10T Shriek powers activate? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying.
You're gonna find a Super Friends clip with Wonder Twins and put it in there.
Treek and ID-10T just pushing together half a donut each to activate their powers.
A mechanical droid arm like the astromechs have extending out of ID-10T.
ID-10T doesn't have one of those, so they just use that ripped-off translator droid arm that the Wookiee left behind.
Oh!
That protocol droid arm.
That's right.
Yes. And if you still want to, you can find out more about our show at StarWarsBeyond.com. We're available on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, and SWTORNetwork.com. You can like us on Facebook at Facebook.com/StarWarsBeyondPodcast. And you can tweet us at StarWarsBeyond. Our usual record time is Monday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at twitch.tv/NoSHDGaming. And Paige, what's coming up in the Captain's Log tonight?
Coming up in the Captain's Log, we have our last few weeks in game, new items for the Cartel Market. We have Agent Olan's Intelligence Report, where Lou will present Jedi Covenant. Plus, the weekly winner of the Agent Star Wars Trivia Question of the Week, and your feedback in our community holo feed.
And your freak back.
It's morphin' time!
I was going to say something about that, but I realized, no, I'll save that for later.
It's
What?
morphin' time. Varactyl.
I was going to go further back with you, Rangers, but okay, we'll go with that.
Thank God we have the Sand People. It's like our own putty patrol.
Oh my god, they really are.
Get 'em, Treek.
What is she? Never mind.
But as always, we do have a couple things to mention quickly, we hope. First up, yes, it's out there. It is a hot topic on the forums. The contraband slot machine controversy.
Dun dun dun.
Yes, it's out there. Yay or nay, support it, hate it, what have you. It is an ongoing topic of discussion in the forums, especially in general discussion. And we just want to bring up a couple of points. First thing, does it present fair, unfair advantage while it exists? Especially during the time frame when the slot machine first came out, with the drop rates that it had, plus all the materials that were coming out of it. Okay, another point we're going to touch upon really quick, obviously the latest patch change that came out today, they adjusted the drop rates for all the items on the slot machines. And then lastly, we're going to quickly touch upon the overall player reaction to what BioWare has done. So first thing, fair, unfair advantage. One thing we want to explain, obviously if you're not familiar with it, apparently you could, receive items from a slot machine. Some of them were crafting materials, certificates, Jawa junk, and so forth, that you could get from machines. All right, and from my understanding, people were buying a lot of these slot machines. We're buying a couple of these slot machines and putting in a lot of money into them. I believe you could spend credits to get the coins to actually spend on the slot machines, and that's what people were doing. They were investing a lot of money, get those coins, and then take their turn or take their time on the slots.
Well, just the fact of actually getting the slot machine, a lot of people were buying multiple hyper crates, which are, I didn't look at the prices of these ones, but they range between $50 and $70 depending on the pack. So we're talking hundreds of dollars to get one of those slot machines, and then BioWare ended up nerfing them after people had spent that money.
Exactly. I mean, as Fred just mentioned, yes, people were spending real life money, obviously, to buy cartel coins, to buy these cartel packs, or actually buying the hyper crates, obviously buy a larger amount of these packs, and taking their chances on getting a pack that would give them a slot machine, and then spending the time and the credits, I guess, to play these machines to get these materials. And what's happening is that before the change, I believe that came today, all right, players were able to obtain a whole bunch of different materials, especially crafting items, all right, resources, and then in turn put those on the market. And I believe one of the biggest issues too is that there were purple level items, crafting items that were dropped from the slot machine. So of course, if you're one of the few people who actually has these slot machines, and people want these items to build stuff or to get, obviously build these items, whatever, gear, weapons, what have you, you can pretty much charge what you want because the demand is there.
The way Jawa junk works is you get it in different colors like green, blue, purple. And then you literally take that Jawa junk to a vendor on the fleet, and you can exchange that for any crafting material of the corresponding color that you want. Now, it takes a certain quantity, like it might be 20 Jawa junk for one crafting item.
Jawa junk. It just sounds wrong, sorry.
Well, yeah, but you can actually use that to get rare crafting materials.
Right,
turn
right.
around and sell them. So, honestly, this is a very, very bad thing for this game because if you remember the Narshadon Nightlife event, those casinos, when you would actually buy the tokens and gamble, you couldn't win anything that would give you an advantage in any other aspect of the game. All you would get is possibly a speeder, a rancor, or basically just your tokens back. Or you lose or get certificates that you could only use to buy things off of a vendor for that event. This is a slot machine that you have to use real life money to obtain, unless you have a ridiculous amount of credits. But either way, somebody's using real life money to buy this in the first place. And then once you have it, you use your in-game credits to gamble to get items that you can turn around and sell. And since it's Jawa junk and not a direct item, you pretty much just pick whichever one's going to sell for the most on your market, buy that, list it, and this is basically gambling for credits. And, there's just a middle step in between. But you're basically gambling, and if you win, you're turning that directly into in-game money. And this seems like that slippery slope that they didn't want to cross over with the casino event, but they basically just crossed. Only now you need real-life money to even participate in it.
Right, and I think that's one of the issues that comes out of it, is the fact that people were spending real-life money. Because, like it or not, yes, everyone gets cartel coins. If you're a sub, okay, you get them for free. But not really, because guess what? You're a sub. You're paying BioWare the monthly fee to play the game as a subscriber, right? So you're actually paying something to get a free allotment of cartel coins for your subscription. Or, like we've all done, like I myself have done it. Fred and Paige may have done it. You actually spend some real life money to get some extra cartel coins because you want to buy that piece of gear in the market. You want to buy that weapon, all right, that weapon skin, that crystal, that outfit, or that particular speeder or mount that's in the game or in the cartel market. All right, so in the end, yes, you are spending real life money, obviously, to buy the cartel packs, and you're gambling with it, virtually, obviously, to get these items. And as Fred just mentioned, how it worked, with that exchange, yes, you could probably get a decent amount of, rare, very rare, what have you, types of crafting materials that people do want, and they're willing to pay a pretty penny for it, with their in-game credits, because they have that credit, they have it. You're going to have players who are playing for so long, they have ridiculous amounts of money in the game on their characters.
And the reason why these are called the contraband slot machine is because the other item that can drop from this is Contraband Resale Corporation reputation items to actually raise that rep. Now, see, I would be fine with the slot machine if the only things that it would give is those rep items and Cartel Market certificates, because those are bind to legacy, the certificates, and the rep items only benefit you in raising that reputation. And you would be able to do it in a way that doesn't require you to basically buy hyper crates to get rep items out of cartel packs constantly. You could actually raise up those reps gradually over time. And I would be wholeheartedly in support of that. But the way that this is right now, where you can actually get something that has a real impact on the player economy, I'm 100% against this. This is crap, and they really need to do something about this. And I don't even know what they can do now, because people have spent real-life money to get this.
Well, we'll get into that in a second.
I really wanted to move into the next part, the player perceived overreaction response from BioWare, because I agree with what Fred has said, that because it has affected the economy so much that it's not good. I don't support it. I don't participate in things like this just because that's not how I have fun in the game. So other people do it. I don't. But this kind of I don't know how to phrase this properly. If you want to call it they nerfed the drop rate or whatever, but it seems like they should be adjusting what it drops instead of just decreasing the chance. Because if people spend enough money, it won't matter. Some people have a disposable income.
Right, and that's exactly, that leads into and our third point, which is today, because today Tor just did do maintenance, and that was included in the maintenance, the fact that they did adjust the drop rates for the items that come out of the slot machines, the contraband slot machines. And unfortunately, what happened is that they didn't say how badly they adjusted the drop rates. And from my understanding, players who post their own findings, their own recordings, and their actual statistics that they compile themselves, like they say, I spent X amount of credits and I did approximately 1,000 rolls. This is what I got, so this is the percentage chance, and so forth. I believe those kind of posts are not being looked upon favorably, I should say, by the forum moderators. Again, this is what I've been reading off the forums, and that was actually a couple hours ago before this recording. So I don't know if that's changed or what have you, or if that was a mistake on their part, but apparently people who are posting those kind of results, those posts aren't being seen.
Well, any kind of results like that, that's all anecdotal. If BioWare's not coming out and saying what percentage they nerfed what by, then it's based on everybody's perception.
Right.
It's just like when the Rancor was out there. Some of us went there and spent over 1 million credits to get a Rancor, and some of us went there and spent 20,000 credits and got a Rancor. To the person that spent 20K, it's like, oh, it must be pretty common because I got it after 20K. Those of us that spent 1 million are like, man, I never want to do this again because that sucks. And same thing, they just changed this today. That's not been nearly enough time for people to get an accurate estimation of how it's changed.
Right, and that's what they did. They actually did adjust the drop rates today for those items. And that leads us into the next point, is the fact that now, again, player satisfaction / dissatisfaction with BioWare's actions in regards to the contraband slot machine. All right, some see it as an overreaction. Some people see it as a, thank God you did it. It was necessary.
I don't want to say I'm one of those, oh, thank goodness you did this because it was necessary. I mean, I still think that things should be done differently instead of, dropping the things that it is, changing what it drops. But I'm proud of them for actually doing something. Like, there was a problem, and they're like, oh, well, we got to fix that. Instead of just being like, oh, well, that'll work itself out. People are complaining. Yeah. So good for them, but you can do better.
That's what I do. People are complaining. Yeah.
Well, I believe one of the issues that came up was the fact that I think one of the official statements was that there was nothing wrong with the contraband slot machine initially. All right, that it was working. There were no bugs associated with it. All right, before the patch today, it was affirmed it was working as intended. But then once BioWare saw what was happening with the player economy, with what players are doing with the resources they were able to put on the market afterward, okay, that's when they actually, I believe that's when they took a serious look at what was happening, and then they were, I guess their hand was forced that they had to make the change.
I can appreciate that they acted, but at the same time, this is a problem I run into in real life. Where are the preventative measures? Did no one think that something like that might happen? It's not an issue until you let it be an issue. They let it become an issue because of their design.
Well, that's true. And when it was first put out there, it was working as intended. But as with all things, when your customers get enraged, you do need to make a snap decision and change something. But I don't necessarily know if they changed the right things here. I think that Jawa junk should be removed from that slot machine entirely. And if they couldn't do that quickly, they should have disabled the functionality of that slot machine for another week or so until they could get that ironed out.
Yeah, from my understanding, all they fixed for the slot machine was the drop rates. They didn't change They didn't change the actual loot table / items. They just changed the actual drop rates for the items involved with it.
That's what I'm saying. If someone has enough credits or enough money, that change doesn't matter.
True, because then you have players from the again from the Nightlife event. Yeah, you have players, whether they have real life disposable income or they've got an ungodly amount of in-game credits, so where they have millions and millions of credits to waste on the slot machines. Until they get those mounts that they want, those items that they want.
And that's true, and a lot of people probably just paid millions of credits to get the slot machine and then sank millions more into there, and then, they're just like, oh, well, didn't get anything good out of that, so they must have just nerfed it into the ground, and then they go on the forums and post that, and then everybody gets worked up.
Mm-hmm. And, folks, as of today, obviously the 21st of January, Fred, Paige, and I were just doing a quick look at the general discussion portion of the SWTOR forums, and I believe it was like 10 or 11 posts are about the slot machines. All right, so that's one of the first things you see when you go to the first page of the general discussion forums for SWTOR, is that, wow, people are really voicing their opinions on, what's going on with this. So, obviously it's an issue that I guess has left its mark on the player base, and, everyone's reacting to it, throwing in their 2 cents, or 2 credits, I should say. as to what they think is going on, what was the right thing to do, what was the wrong thing to do, and so forth.
Yeah. Well, we're going to have to see how it pans out and what they ultimately end up doing, because I don't think people are satisfied either way right now. The people that don't want the slot machine there aren't happy, and the people that want the slot machine aren't happy that it just got nerfed.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's too soon to tell how this is all going to end up, because I don't think that the change that they made today is the last change they're going to make. At least I hope not.
Right. I mean, there's always that possibility that they can and they will be open to going back, and again, just like doing more tweaks on it, saying, okay, you know what, maybe we went a little too far this way, so let's bring it back, a couple notches and see how it plays out. Because then if they reacted this quickly to player feedback in regards to the one item, and obviously this is a big deal to folks, again, if folks keep up on it, keep up the pressure on them, then yeah, they will make changes.
Yeah, and they're going to need to change something, because either, no matter what they're doing right now, both sides are unhappy. Okay, so what do we have up next, Lou?
All right, and then the next thing we're going to bring up is, as of today's recording, Hillary Nicole, aka Pocket, she will no longer be with Bioware Austin. So she will no longer be, I guess, an official part of the EA Bioware SWTOR community. All right, I believe she may have announced it on the live stream that was on this past Friday. She may have dropped the hint there. And I think either Monday or I believe Tuesday, official word got out that she was, or she is leaving Bioware Austin. So she's no longer part of the SWTOR community officially. And for us here, we just want to wish her luck in her future endeavors, and thank her for being a part of the SWTOR community.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. We appreciate the fact you helped us get set up with the contacts and everything when we first revamped our show and launched as Beyond the Stars. And we do wish you luck with wherever you choose to go in the industry.
Absolutely. Good luck to her.
Alright, so then that takes us into the Captain's Log. And Paige, what have you done in-game over the last few weeks?
Before I go into that, never mind. Because we're going to get into that later. I'm sorry, I just saw something else. Alright. My week...
Like a cat.
I really am. Oh, what was that? Okay. I've been doing a lot of people.
Let her drive, Lou.
Have you died?
A couple of times. I learned this neat Force ritual that lets me take over other people's bodies.
Does that explain why Treek poops and pees everywhere? You don't have control of your bladder?
That isn't Treek.
That's you in Treek's body.
Grab me a shovel.
Oh.
Anyway, it's more
You get
time.
the paper towels.
Get the newspaper.
And the spray bottle.
Did tons of PvP over the past few weeks and not much else. It's all kind of starting to become a blur because I play so many matches. It's hard to make heads or tails of how long I've been doing it or what I've been doing more than anything else, like which war zones. Most of the war zones I play in they're forgettable at best. Some matches stand out more than others, mostly the ones where I'm kicking some major fanny. At one point, I had joined the queue so many times that I was repeatedly put on a team with this power tech. And when I've been PvPing a lot in one day, I start to notice that I keep getting put in war zones with the same people. And I'll eventually pick up on their play style, pick up on if they're an idiot or not, basically. And when their players are good, because I'm a healer, I tend to kind of follow them around because I know that wherever they go, it's going to be a good time. But eventually, that power tech did whisper me and asked if we could group together and sort of team up in the matches and like talk in group chat so that we could coordinate against the other team. And we wiped the floor with so many people. Eventually had to go, though, and that was kind of sad, because I was like, aw, because everyone else was stupid. But last thing I want to say is, as long as the war zones have been out, though, it still surprises me how so many people don't know how to play them. For all the good people I run into, I also run into a lot of idiots. I mean, I don't know why you don't fight at the node, but whatever. And don't worry, if I see you acting stupid, I'll call you out on it.
Well, I guess that's the end of what you've done the last few weeks, then?
Yeah, it is.
Lou,
Well, first off, let's say hello to Jay in chat. Hey, Jay, what's going on? No, I haven't seen the new operation yet. Hoping to one of these days. I mean, still on the lookout for a guild. But then again, right now, only my operative, I think, is ready. And I'm trying to get my other characters up. At least my Imperial characters up to that standard before I actually start braving ops. And then, even then, for now, until I find a guild, it'll be pug mode. Oof. So, what I've been doing so far in game is finally working on my bunch of 55s. Thank you, 12 times XP, and actually finishing the class stories. The latest one is, well, my bounty hunter, my power tech. I was about to go to start Shadow Revan, and I realized, wait a minute, I haven't finished my class story yet on my bounty hunter. So I realized just how far back I was. Like, ooh, boy, I have to go back all the way back to Voss. Ouch. So, took some time. Did that. So right now, she just finished the class story on Voss. And then realizing because of, again, the 12 times XP and that super awesome GSI buff that we got on McHappy, I really slacked off on Mako. Okay, I use her since obviously my power tech. My power tech is a tank. I built her as a tank. So obviously I run with Mako, and I realize that her gear is pretty much crap at this point. Alright, my power tech is pushing up there, I think mid-high 30s, with hell, gear, and everything else, but Mako's like, ooh. I think if you breathe on Mako wrong, despite the fact that she's body type 1, she's just going to fall over. Because she can't take a hit very well.
Yeah, she's not really good at anything. She's not good at healing or taking damage or DPSing.
Hey, but she's got a smart mouth on her.
It's not one of her good qualities.
Yes. Well, I'm just saying, she's got all the time in the world to be a smart mouth, be sassy, go, I'm not just a pretty face, mister. Oh, okay.
Yeah, you are.
I thought you're supposed to heal, but that's my mistake. Sorry. But regardless, I was slacking really bad with her gear, so that's what I'm doing, at least with that power tech, is, getting comms, saving up the credits, and, of course, siphoning off my higher level characters, pushing credits that way to invest in her gear, to at least make her viable to where she just doesn't fall like a house of cards. So she'll get there soon. And on my operative, since we now can obtain the entire companion gear set from Yavin 4, I am running my operative through that. Okay, Scorpio, I passed over because right now Scorpio I'm comfortable to where she's at because I run with her mostly. So I am probably deciding. I haven't turned the weekly in yet. I did it, but I haven't turned it in yet because I'm just like, who the hell I want to actually outfit right now. And I'm looking to see, which is probably my worst outfitted companion that I probably want to use. And I might go with probably Doc with Loken. I might go with him to outfit it completely. Because I know, Fred, you use him on your operative, and I'm curious, you know what? Maybe I want to try him out.
I didn't even really start using him until I made my second operative over on Shadowlands. I tried using him on my sniper, but since my sniper was dark side, the two of them were just completely ignorant to each other back and forth.
Oh, jeez.
Like, I don't like you and you don't like me.
Then why are you on my ship? Get the hell off.
No, this is before you even leave the planet where you meet him. He's like, I don't like you, you don't like me, but it's our best bet to work together.
Yeah, it's funny how this works out. Kind of like Fatal Alliance, Fred.
That's what Master August said until I drove my lightsaber through his abdomen.
I don't like you, you don't like you.
Okay, and then you cut off his head.
Yeah. I didn't cut off his head, I used a saw.
The saber would have been a lot cleaner, but okay.
That's the point.
He used a Twizzler.
You know my speckled red robe that you really like?
No.
Oh. Never mind.
Okay. But yeah, I might outfit Logan first.
Make
And
you
then I'll...
kill you later.
Note to self. And then I'll probably work on Temple as well next. Because all this time, I have been outfitting Temple gradually. Because even though my operative is a healer, I really want to take out a DPS companion to see how well I can fare in doing some of the content with a DPS companion. So I'll be getting onto that next. I also created a couple of other characters, new characters, because I have a Sith warrior, but that warrior actually is a Juggernaut tank, and the same thing with my Jedi Guardian is also going tank mode. However, I created another two, and these two are actually on Shadowlands, where these two classes are actually going to go the DPS route. So I'm intending to create and try out the Juggernaut, but as a DPS character, and the same thing with the Jedi Guardian, and go completely that route. And then when people ask, "Hey, can you tank?" No, man, DPS. I don't want to think. I just want to just burn things down.
Oh, the common mentality.
Yeah, I don't want to work. Huh? No, you know what I mean. I actually want to try because I'm curious because I've seen some feedback where I believe the Juggernaut and the Guardian can do some pretty decent DPS. So I'm curious to try it out because to me that's kind of weird, being old school MMO to where a tank does really good DPS. That's not right. It's usually they do okay DPS or crap DPS because they can absorb an ungodly amount of damage for X amount of time. So I just want to see and give it a shot. And as a quick note, yeah, Jay, that's what I'm doing. The Yavin 4 Rishi dailies, so I get that entire gear set for my companions. Before I was doing the old route where saving up comms, credits, buying stuff in the GTN, and using the comms to buy the mods and such. But now that they've done this, I'm going to go that route. So I'm gradually doing it, as I can. So 1 week, like this week, Loken to Temple, whoever gets it, and then the following week it's going to be whoever didn't get it this week. So that's what I'm doing, and then go on from there.
Yeah, that seems pretty solid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and those missions aren't hard at all. They're pretty easy. Plus there's so many people there. I mean, if you really are that pressed for time, or if it's just too much, or if there's just too many people because it can't get crowded at times, so you make sure that you group up just to save yourself some time. It's not that bad, unless the lag monster hits you.
Well, how has the lag monster been when you're doing the dailies?
I mean, I'm only going to speak for myself. I mean, I have a pretty damn good internet connection. All right, I have digital cable, and I have FiOS, and in my area, it's pretty damn good. So heck, my nephew could be in his laptop, my sister could be in her laptop, my brother-in-law could be in his laptop. We're all on the net doing insane amounts of stuff, and I don't see anything.
Oh, yeah, but remember last time we were doing a show, we were talking about the lag that was riddling the game. I was wondering, has that been alleviated for you when you're doing the dailies?
I'd say a little bit. I'd say I have seen some improvement. Okay, it's not as bad as before when I first hit Yavin 4, and I was mashing buttons for 1 or 2 extra seconds to see, damn it, fire off. It's gotten better. I will, I'm going to openly admit that it's gotten better for me, at least. Not going to speak for everyone. But I know when there are additional players in the areas, like especially during prime time, at least for us, since we're on, for me, all my mains are on Jedi Covenant, which is an East Coast PvE server. So obviously after 6, 7 p.m. Eastern time, everyone's home, either from work or from school, whatever. And so for the most part, from that point forward, everyone's going to be on playing. And I have seen some performance hit where it has slowed down, but never to the point where I want to put my fist through the computer like I used to when 3.0 first dropped. No, it hasn't been that bad. I mean, it's noticeable. It does hit, but not as often, and it's not as bad. So at least what they're saying, at least to me, what I'm seeing when they said they actually made changes, made some adjustments, it's working for me at least.
Yeah, it seems like they're doing small incremental changes instead of just trying to do a broad sweeping lag reduction.
Mm-hmm.
And from all indications, it's been working.
Right, and I'm happy with it.
Maybe part of the plan to reduce the lag that you've been noticing is instead of having people in the game lagging down the servers, they're trying to keep them pissed off and on the forums.
They get them so angry that they just keep them one part of the game. Not playing, but on the forums.
Keep him on the forums posting about the slot machines so that Luke can do his dailies without lag.
Yeah. Burn through them at least, 7, 8 characters. Then actually play the game. No. What do you mean? What do we do? Play the game. And then, the last thing one of the last things I want to mention is hopefully sometime this week or the weekend, I'm hoping that at least the 3 of us will get our Shadow Reverend group that we started off with and finish the actual story. Finish off the expansion, because I believe we are we were supposed to hit Yavin 4, if I remember correctly. We finished Rishi.
Yeah.
And then we just received the quest to actually get to Yavin 4 for the first time.
Yeah, that is true. We were going to do Yavin 4, and that's when we started hearing about all the lag issues, and then you had a vacation, and then I had a vacation.
And I've been planning world domination.
Well, you plan world domination all you want. I'm trying to strive for galactic domination here.
So at least now that we're getting things back on track. Minus this week. Obviously we had issues with the holiday, first of all. So I'm hoping sometime this week that we'll actually get a chance to actually finish up the story, at least on those characters, and then move on to get the next group of characters we want to go through the story SOR with and do that and get it going.
Yeah, we're definitely going to have to hop in there and do that.
And also, we need to work on our Republic characters. Now I move my Republic Trooper off of Jedi Covenant to Shadowlands.
That is true. And then maybe this time, instead of actually doing the Forged Alliances and the traditional group setup, we'll do it with that GSI droid, where all 3 of us will have it.
Oh, with the Jesus bot?
I refuse to call it that.
The omnipotent bot, I should say that. The omnipotent bot companion. It cannot be stopped.
Just keeps going.
Going. I swear, that thing never got below half health. No matter I literally, on my operative, ignored healing that thing.
Do you remember that old, I think it was Duracell commercial, where it shows Darth Vader and his lightsaber goes out because the batteries in it were dead? Just random tangent.
They may bring that back again in homage to, with Episode 7. With that lightsaber that we see in the first trailer.
Commercial.
Oh,
wow,
it's on YouTube.
Really?
How old is it? Is it older than me?
Probably 90s.
No, it's going to be...
It's not any older than that, or I wouldn't remember it.
No, it's up there, man, because I remember seeing it as a probably mid-80s, late 80s.
You're going to make me look this up now.
Yeah, I was... If it was mid-80s, I wasn't alive. So that would be why I haven't seen it.
I'm not sure. Yeah, damn it, now I have to find out.
It sounds funny. I want to...
Yeah, it is actually pretty funny, because if you're a Star Wars fan, or if you've seen the movies, the original trilogy, yeah, it was a great laugh.
What year was it, Fred?
Come glance at this real quick, Paige.
What is thy bidding, my master?
There is a great disturbance in the Force. It is battery.
If you knew the power of the dark side.
Still going. Nothing outlasts the Energizer battery. It keeps going and going.
Alright, Paige has seen it now.
I like how he started smacking it. Like, that's what you do with a remote when its batteries are dying and you're too lazy to change them.
I can't remember last time I had batteries die in anything.
It happens in the remote a lot. It's probably because it's Energizer.
I don't watch enough TV. And if you look, when Vader opens up his lightsaber, those are Super Volt.
What's Super Volt?
A generic battery. That was the point of the commercial.
Oh, I thought it was like a real brand.
No, it was like if you used Energizer, your batteries wouldn't have died right then.
Oh, I thought that was like a real thing. Okay.
Crucial moment. You could have tipped the galaxy into the side of darkness forever, but unfortunately...
You chose Rayovac.
Yeah. Yeah,
Somehow,
generic battery.
I don't think cutting down the Energizer Bunny would accumulate dark side points fast enough. Could be wrong.
Maybe.
They really need to bring the Energizer Bunny back. Just saying. And me, I've been working on my cyber tech on the Shadowlands. Like, pretty hardcore. Pretty much anytime I'm doing anything, like editing anything or working on modding some random game, I'll be tabbing into SWTOR, sending my companions out on their crew skills. Because what I really hate about that is I leveled all the way up to 55 plus, and my crew skills are still around 100.
Sounds familiar.
Well, I actually have some characters with high-end crew skills. Just I've been neglecting them on Shadowlands. The only one that's actually maxed out on Shadowlands is my Jedi Guardian that I actually maxed out artificing, which is pretty much good for nothing.
What are you
Although
saying, Fred?
they're supposed to be adding some new color crystals.
Are they?
Just for artificers.
Are they going to be cool colors or are they going to be suck-ass colors?
Actually looking right now on Dolphy's guide here to see what color they're going to be. Because I know for a fact they're supposed to be coming in, I think, 3.1. They're tricolor crystals. There's going to be white, yellow, orange, and white, purple, blue.
White, yellow, orange, like candy corn.
It actually looks a lot like the copper lightsaber. Like it's somewhere in between orange and yellow, but it's kind of leaning toward the orange.
You know, I think we're getting to the point with lightsaber crystals to where, or just the actual crystals themselves, to where we're going to, it's no longer orange, it's no longer red, it's going to be fire engine red, cherry blossom red.
But I'm okay with that. Well, not like that, but I'm okay with them just adding slightly different hues of the same colors because it makes me feel more unique when I'm playing a Force user and my blade is just slightly different than the other people's. Like, I hate that when I'm playing a Sith and I want to use a red lightsaber, my only option is a red lightsaber crystal. Like,
Yeah.
why not a crimson lightsaber crystal? Like, slightly different shades of red.
Crimson, garnet.
Now, I will say that the white, yellow, orange crystal, it just looks like a filler crystal to me. Like, there's nothing super special about it. It looks... If you're not really paying attention, it could just be a crappy default orange crystal.
Mm-hmm.
But the white, purple, blue crystal looks pretty sweet.
Why can't it look like candy corn?
That'll be coming next year for Halloween.
Yay!
Now that they figured out how to do 3-color crystals.
Or a Halloween-inspired event in the SWTOR universe.
I'm just saying here, like, this is pretty noteworthy because this is going to be the first example of color crystals that have 3 colors to them. And this is coming in 3.1 to artificing. Gonna be able to train it on the artifice trainer at 500 artifice.
Okay. I'm waiting for the day I can create my very own Skittle lightsaber.
Oh my god!
Get cut down by the rainbow.
It's going to happen, man. If they're going, I mean, we already have 2 hues in one crystal. Now we're getting 3. Pretty soon we're going to get all the colors in a rainbow, and we're going to have Skittle sabers. That's all.
I don't know, man, because I think adding a 3rd color really opens up the options. But I think that they have to pick 3 colors that go well together. Because, let's be honest, that special PvP crystal from the last season doesn't look all that great. Red and yellow just, I mean...
Ketchup and mustard.
Here's your McDonald's crystal. Good job.
Or if you're a fan of Coming to America, the McDowell's crystal.
Like, it almost pains me if I wasn't such a jerk that I ruined like 40 people's lives. For
I was going to bring that up, but okay.
And see, really though, the ones that I ruined their experience early on and they didn't even bother doing 10 matches, I saved them. Because now they don't have to get this crappy crystal.
You're welcome.
But see, I felt so bad about that. that I was almost obligated to actually use this crappy crystal.
Almost.
So I use it in guns because I would never put that thing in a lightsaber crystal unless I make a Jedi as a joke. And I'm trying to look like the most ridiculous person, which I might do that.
I don't go with a lightsaber.
Oh my god. Fred, do you remember that guy with the purple hair that you made?
Yeah, with the purple hair.
Yeah, he was extremely fat and you were following this guy around.
Yeah, I was thinking about doing that. Like, when we get into the new customizations that they added, which... let's see, what else? Yeah, pretty much, like, what else I've done for the week just rolls right into that conversation. So we'll just go ahead and transition into the next discussion topic, which are the new items that were added to the Cartel Market. And Lou, real quick, what were those new items?
All right, first thing, there are now 2 new hairstyles available on the Cartel Market. One is just for females. It's the double braids. I haven't seen it myself, so hopefully it's pretty self-explanatory. And then the next thing is dreads or dreadlocks for both male and female characters. And then the second thing, they added 2 new eye colors as well to the market. And unfortunately, these are both for humans only species. The first color is bright yellow, and the next one is bright green.
Can I go first?
Both of which should not be natural human eye colors, just like white eyes. What the hell, BioWare? But hang on, because this rolls right into what I was just talking about. I'm going to make a new dude to use those PvP crystals from last season. He's going to be a body type 4 human male with nasty dreadlocks. Like, they're going to be as filthy looking as I can make them with the color selection. And he's going to have, like, bright yellow eyes because no human has yellow eyes.
Unless we're talking about the X-Files.
No, I'll make his hair. I'll make his hair red, and I'll make his eyes bright yellow so they match the color crystal.
Oh, you could probably try that. It'd probably work.
Yeah, I will, and then I'll dye all of his armor red and yellow. Like it'll be great. I'll look like a Star Wars themed Ronald McDonald.
You should name him Ronald.
That looks like he's been eating the McDonald's food.
Name him McHappy Burger.
McHappy Sith.
McJedi.
McJedi.
Sith McJedi.
Unhappy Meal.
The Sith Unhappy Meal. Unhappy Meal is the last name. Sith Unhappy
I'd have to go on another server because I'm not changing my legacy name to that.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
All right. I wanted to comment on these new items. The new hairstyles, the dreads. I don't know what to say about the dreads. That's one of the things I'm indifferent about. Take it or leave it. I won't use it myself, but I don't care if other people do. The
Captain Jack Sparrow. Just wear your pirate hat with your dreads.
God. Oh my God! Yeah, the Rishi.
It's just too bad. I'm sure it hides your dreads.
Yeah, I know. It's better to hide the hair. Otherwise, it'd be perfect.
Okay.
Eye popping.
Okay. The double braids, they can do better. God, guys, just call me. I will help you design women's hair. You're bad at it. Second, the 2 new eye colors being human only, I think that's stupid because they're not natural human eye colors anyway, just like they're not white. I don't know why the other species can't have those. Why are they catering to humans when, a lot of people play this game to play a non-human?
Well, don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure, like the Twi'leks, the Mary Allen, they have bright yellow and bright green eyes as an option already, naturally.
Yeah, but what about the ones that don't?
Like who? Cathar have weird alien eyes. Luca don't even have eyes.
How about Zabrak?
Zabrak have weird alien eyes too. The Republic ones don't, but the Imperial ones do.
Okay.
And that would be like people would cry if you gave it to just the Republic side Zabrak. Well, actually, no. The Republic side Zabrak have bright green and yellow eyes as an option as well.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah, I am, because I remember when I was toying around to make my sniper.
Sith Pureblood.
Sith Pureblood have different eyes too. They're weird alien eyes.
Yeah, see that.
Why do you keep saying that? Weird alien eyes.
Because
if you
they're not
have
human-like.
bright yellow eyes as a human, you're a weird alien too.
What if you have white eyes as a human?
That doesn't make sense either.
Your iris should not be the same color as your cornea.
It's not though. It's like a weird glowy, right? Like
Well,
fluorescent.
in which case, if that really happened, then I believe you'll be visited by a representative from Professor X's school for gifted students.
Gifted youngsters.
That really happened. Your head would start spinning around and start puking up green stuff.
All right, Linda Blair.
Reagan.
I am not a crook.
What?
You see, back on track here.
I know Lou got that reference.
Yeah. I just can't see with the eye colors why they just can't be universal for everyone. You just make them available for everyone.
Yeah.
At this point. All right, because now you're just being exclusive for no real reason than just to deny it to other races available in the game.
Well, this time the eye colors I get, because I think humans were the only ones that didn't have these two color options available already. I don't understand why they're being given to humans, but I get it. Now, the one that I really don't get is the human hairstyles and the human hair colors. Why can't aliens that are based on the human model use these things?
Like the Mary Allen.
Yeah.
Right, because the Mary Allen and the Mary Luke all have hair just like humans. Those species are humanoid. They're near human, and they do have hair. Playing that way. And the character creator, yes, they have hair. Like all my Mary Luke characters have hair. All right, and my one Mary Allen character, they all have hair. It's like, why can't they just have the same hairstyles? Again, to me, at least for me, in my opinion, the kind of restrictions on the cosmetics baffle me. I don't mind them being a cartel market, but geez, open them up for everyone. What if I want this particular hairstyle on this particular race of race that I have in this one character?
Well, what's really effed up about that, Lou, is the fact that if you're playing as one of those alien races, like as a Mira Luca, or a Mary Allen, you can go to the kiosk to change your appearance, and you can actually preview your character with those human hairstyles that you can't buy.
Which is messed up, because as a tease, people say, "Hey, wait a minute, I can see it, but I can't buy it." No,
Yeah, I mean, I could see that. Like, they can't even say, "Oh, well, it would clip weird or it wouldn't look good on that model," because I've seen what my character would look like with that hair.
And you know what? Don't even give me these. They can't even give us excuse of clipping issues, because my God, how long have we gone through clipping issues with robes with our speeders? All right, so to me, that's not an excuse.
And they let the Mira Luca get this new dreads customization, and it clips through 90% of the masks you have available as a Mira Luca.
All right, so that clipping thing, I don't buy it anymore, because hell, if you're letting it fly now as it is with certain races and characters that have things like that, and again, the generic clipping issues with robes and mounts, no. No excuse, no technical excuse. You let it slide with other things in the past. God's sakes, just open it up already. Just do it.
I mean, there's one hairstyle that looks like dreads that go straight back. Like, I don't even know how to describe it. Like, it puffs up and goes back. It's like Albert Einstein hair, but in dread style that goes back. And I
remember which one you're talking about.
Yeah, I really want that on my Mira Luca, and it will let me preview it on him, but it won't let me buy it. So, like, I keep him bald. And if they ever give me that, he will have hair. Like, my Mira Lucas, I play them to look crazy intentionally. Like, I have one right now that he's bald, and then I have another one that he's bald, but he has one of those complexions that makes it look like he has like strips of hair going down his head.
Oh,
He looks crazy. I just felt the need to share that.
why? No.
But if you notice, these new dread customizations look kind of similar to Nautilin tentacles that the clasps have been changed to look like metal and the tentacles have been changed to look like hair. Just something I noticed. And so let's go ahead and cut off this conversation here unless either one of you have something more to say about that.
Well, I just want to reiterate. I really wish they would just open them up to all the races already in the game. I think we reached the point to where, again, at least for me personally, I don't mind them putting these kind of cosmetic stuff on the Cartel Market, but I'd like the option to have it available for everyone. Okay. If I want to put a crazy hairstyle on my Zabrak female or male character, fine, let me do it.
I mean, come on, Lou. I mean, humans are only the most played species in any game. Why not give people more incentives to play humans?
Well, maybe break out of the mold and let's play non-humans for once.
Why would you play non-humans, though, when the humans always seem to get all the cool new customization?
Well, I guess it's easier to build off the original base model for all the characters in the game than to make adjustments for the other races. But
90% of the other species were built off of humans, so it shouldn't be hard to give them the same customization options.
Well, true, and I wonder why they don't. Because again, the Twi'lek characters, the cyborg. I don't know why cyborg is a different race. You just have cybernetic parts. So to me, I've always had an issue with the cyborg race, so to speak. Because to me, you're just a human with cybernetic parts.
Just to make it seem like they had one more species.
Right.
Like they didn't have any to choose from?
Right. Like Star Wars hasn't been out for 30 plus years and all these species introduced over the course of the 3 decades. Okay, yeah, you're right. They're short on species, but okay.
I just want to say I agree. I think that for the species that can use the customizations, like I can see why you wouldn't give like a Twi'lek hair. I can see that. But for the Miri Allen and stuff like that, give them the same options that the humans have. Give everybody the same eye color options. There's no excuse to really not do it. And the only other thing I want to reiterate is, oh my God, they need to really get someone decent in their design female hairstyles.
How about a female artist?
How about they just call me? I'll send them pictures. Call me, BioWare. Call me.
I kind of wonder if they're intentionally picking like the worst looking hair options. And they keep giving females all these like super long hair options that I'm sure clip through every piece of armor that they equip.
Yep.
I get it. It's a different galaxy. You don't have to be ugly.
I mean, when you watch the Star Wars prequels, you see women with more normal looking hair than that.
Mm-hmm. Obviously, when you look through the prequel movies, all right, episodes 1 through 3, and you see the different hairstyles that Padme goes through.
All right, and on that note, let's move into the Star Wars recommendation of the week.
For those interested in actually getting a look at the recommendation of the week, I will be posting a link with a photo on the Facebook wall when the show is posted to iTunes. This week we have something I actually want for the ship because you guys keep it so cold in here. It's a Star Wars steering wheel cover. It's from Etsy.com, and it's a stretchy Star Wars cloth steering wheel cover that you can slip over pretty much into any standard steering wheel. And they make all different types. So in the description, they talk about they'll add things to it for you, like a flower or a bow. And I really want this with a big, gigantic red bow on it. They also have rear view mirror covers. I also want one of those for the ship.
I'm going to get one of these for when I'm driving around my trash truck at night.
Okay.
I think it'll work.
Really liven up the atmosphere.
Hey, I'm all for it. I think it would be a nice touch to all the vehicles. Speeder bikes, not so much. Land speeders, yeah, not a problem. They'd be perfect.
What if you only got one of those half steering wheels?
We'll improvise. Just, I guess, cut it.
Give me the duct tape.
Nah, just cut it. Easier.
Well, why did you cut it? You gotta duct tape it to get it to stay in place.
Technicalities.
Just sew the ends shut.
All right,
That
true.
requires sewing. I didn't train that crew skill.
With all the... Never mind. Nope. That crosses the line.
Treek, do you know how to sew? I didn't think so.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so. She just wears, that little hood piece.
She's naked! What are you talking about? She doesn't wear anything. Is that her excuse? She don't know how to sew? I don't know how to sew. I'm naked.
I don't know. I saw her in there eating the buttons off of Lou's clothes the other day.
Aw.
Now see, we have to sew those back on.
I just got those uniforms too from Intelligence.
Well, I actually took one of your uniforms and I cut it in half and then I sewed it into a little shirt for Treek.
Aww.
Look at her, she looks adorable, little fuzzy Lou.
Yeah, when I haven't shaved in about 3-4 weeks. Jeez.
3-4 months, more like it.
Yeah, actually years.
Speaking of which, it's time for you to wax Treek's back again.
Oh, I'll pass. That's going to...
I'll give you an option. Either you wax Treek's back, or you do the intelligence report.
I think I'll have it on the intelligence report. And for this week, we are going to cover the Jedi Covenant.
Which is the best server
ever. Anyway, Jedi Covenant. Vigilance against the darkness. Or in a quote by Cornelia, "We five are part of a sacred trust, Zane, a Jedi Covenant, to stand watch and make certain that a Sith war never happens again." The Jedi Covenant. Who were they? They were a secret organization of Jedi headquartered on Coruscant in the time of the old Sith Wars. It was established after the end of the Great Sith War by Crinda Dre, who felt that it was her failing for not sensing the fall of Exar Kun to the dark side. The Covenant's goal was to use Jedi consulars as shadows, to search for a shadow point that might lead to the resurrection of the Sith, and then take any action necessary to prevent that. The Covenant hated the Sith with a passion, which in itself was an aberration of the Jedi Code. They believed that had such an organization existed before the Sith War, they could have recognized the threat posed by Exar Kun when he was still a Jedi. The history. And here we have another quote by Crinda Dre. "I want nothing more to do with the Jedi, or their wars." As the organization's founder, Crinda Dre had personally trained many, if not all, of its greatest consulars. However, her obsession blinded her to the true threat when it eventually developed. She had a special interest in the Meraluka and was known to have several of them at her home at a time for teaching. The existence and motives of the Covenant remained unknown to the Order as a whole. Even the membership of the Jedi Enclave Council and Jedi High Council were ignorant to its existence. However, Crinda had many allies throughout the Republic. Although she was no longer in the hold of the Order itself, Mena Jedi brought students to her to train, though she only accepted the most gifted. After the Sith War, seers were hard to find, and when they could be found, they needed to be trained by the best. Jedi from all over the galaxy brought students to the Dre estate, and when they were trained, they were allowed to enter the Order on a trial basis and were oftentimes accepted. This brings us to the Padawan Massacre. There were no lengths to which the Covenant would not go in order to prevent the rise of the Sith. Such determination led to the Covenant's first Watch Circle. Feln, Cornelia, Rana Trey, Zamar, and Crinda's son Lucian, carrying out of the Padawan Massacre of Taris after the Teresian Jedi Masters had a vision of the destruction wrought by the Mandalorian Wars, Jedi Civil War, and the First Jedi Purge. It appeared to be carried out by a Sith Lord in red armor, a possible symbol that one of their Padawans would fall to the dark side, considering they were all wearing red environmental suits at the time the visions took place. The Padawan Massacre of Taris was executed, but was not completely successful, for one Padawan escaped. Much to the surprise, Lucian's own Padawan, Zane Carrick, was the survivor, and the Masters knew he had to die to completely ensure that their vision did not come true. After being captured by bounty hunter Valius Ying, Zane was returned to the Jedi Tower, but again he escaped his fate with the help of Jarrell, who had disguised herself as a Sith Lord from the Master's visions. As a result, riots broke out on Taris, and the Covenant was forced to withdraw to Coruscant. But before leaving, they received a message from Zane assuring them that he would hunt down each of them, only sparing the one who confessed and cleared his name of the atrocity they committed. He also told them that if he did indeed bring about the Jedi Order's demise, they were to remember that it began with them. First Watch Circle separated. The members of the Covenant returned to Coruscant and attempted to meet with their leader and associate, Krinda Dre, but were denied entrance to her estate. Later, they met with the Jedi High Council, a meeting in which Farouk Lamar ordered that they be separated due to the events that had transpired in Taris, although the Council did not know of the Master's specific acts. During the separate missions, several Covenant members were experiencing visions of terrible events. Cornelia sensing the many deaths on Sirocco, Rana having nightmares of Zane's possible revenge, and Lucian being betrayed and captured by his old friend Arko Adaska, who reunited him with Zane on Umanoth. Zane later escaped back to Taris after Adaska was killed by his family's own creation. When Zane returned to Taris, Rana had beat him to the punch and ordered Shad Jalavan's younger sister, Shell, to kill Zane. However, the Taris resistance needed everyone to help drive the Mandalorians away from the planet, even fugitives like Zane. Rana disagreed with having a future Sith as a comrade. Rana was the first of the Covenant to die, having been caught in the explosion of the Jedi Tower on Taris. The Muir Talisman. Zane then met an agent of the Covenant named Celeste Morn. Morn was ordered by Lucian to kill Zane, but she couldn't do it after seeing Zane risk his life to save others. After she fell under the control of the Muir Talisman, Zane chose to help Morn by putting her in stasis until he could get her some help. Before being put into stasis, Morn asked Zane to reach Krinda and stop the Covenant's corruption, believing that she wouldn't have allowed the massacre in Taris. Zane then resolved to end the Covenant once and for all. Odrin. On Coruscant, Hazen, former failed Padawan of Barristan Dre, close associate of Barristan's wife Krinda Dre, member of her Jedi Covenant and the former mentor of her son, was able to get Lucian on the Jedi High Council so the Covenant's agents could move about freely. With his companions, Zane traveled to Odrin, where the Sanctum of the Exalted, a storehouse of Sith artifacts, was located. He and Marn Hieroglyph took as much evidence as they could to expose the Covenant. They were captured by the locals and were imprisoned in the Sanctum. Felon arrived there and destroyed the Sanctum when he heard that Zane's allies were returning. His arrogance cost him his life, as his own people turned on him and killed him. Zane left the planet with several Sith artifacts that the Mumo brothers had smuggled onto the ship when they dropped Zane off in the first place. Which brings us to the endgame. Zane headed to Coruscant, and after dodging a Republic fleet that was charged with destroying his ship, Zane and Griff landed on the planet. But they were soon apprehended by Zamar. But this proved to be a blessing. Zamar confessed to the Jedi Council that Zane was innocent, shortly after capturing him. Zamar realized that the Rogue Moon prophecy was coming true, and wanted to ensure Krinda would be safe from it. Zamar brought both Griff and Zane, who was disguised as a Dark Jedi, to the Dre estate as part of a plan to get Krinda to safety. After Zane was revealed to be working for the Jedi Council, members of the Order stormed the estate. Hazen, who was really a servant of the Sith, chose this moment to make his move. He usurped leadership of the Covenant from Krinda and ordered the Covenant Jedi to destroy the Jedi High Council, claiming it to have been influenced by the dark side, and ordered them to capture the Council's cache of Sith artifacts. He also took control of the Republic fleet in orbit through a flaw in the Benjavalis chain, having them fire on the Jedi Knights, instigating a civil war between the Jedi that began to destroy Coruscant. Once Hazen had gained the artifacts, he slew the couriers and prepared to destroy the Jedi Council so that an emergency council would be formed under his command. But when Zane and Lucian tricked and killed him, the Covenant was ultimately dissolved. The existence of the Covenant taught the Jedi Council the dangers of having cabals from within their own order, and furthered their opposition to the Revokists. Wasted efforts. Unknown to the Covenant, long before the Great Sith War, the Sith were not entirely destroyed as they, the rest of the Order and the Republic, had believed. After being driven from Korriban in the waning hours of the Great Hyperspace War, remnants of the original Sith Empire had slipped into uncharted space and had been reorganized and re-strengthened under their new leader. For over 1,000 years, the Sith remained hidden until the surprise attack on the Republic. Therefore, the Jedi Covenant's task of preventing the Sith return had been all for nothing, though they never knew it. There was another Sith sect that the Covenant was unaware about, the Lost Tribe of the Sith, descendants of the crew of the Omen, who crashed on Kesh during the Great Hyperspace War. When former Covenant Shadow Jelf Marion discovered this by accident in 3,960 years before the Battle of Yavin, he attempted to warn the Republic, but was chased off by Sith Saber Oriel Katai, and his starfighter was destroyed, leaving him trapped. Now, the organization itself is composed of 1. The Watch Circles. The Jedi Covenant was composed of several Watch Circles that specialized in different types of visions. The 5 Masters of the Taris Jedi Tower, Lucian Dre, Cornelia, Felm, Zamar, and Ranate, were known as the First Watch Circle. The first 4 were among the greatest consuls of the Jedi Order, and were apparently the premier prognosticators of the Covenant, while Lucian served as its hand. Another Watch Circle was known as Watch Circle Bodo, though it was felt among some of the Masters that they were not as effective. The Economic Study Circle was a group of seers used by the Covenant to study changes in the Dre's trust stocks and to protect it from bankruptcy. Apart from the seers, the Covenant also had agents known as Shadows, in which all records of their existence had been erased and were known only to a few of the Covenant's members. The Shadows were used to hunt Sith treasures, one of which was the Muir Talisman on Taris. Shadow Celeste Morn was known to have destroyed the last copy of the Epistle of Mark of Ragnos, and recovered Jory Daragon's amulet and the Eye of Horak Mul. Any retrieved items had a microtag attached to them and were distinctive Covenant identity chips. This was only after these artifacts were coated in nullification resin. Failed Padawan Hazen was taken under the wing of Prinda and became her hand, serving to maintain the Jedi trust and to employ contacts and resources to keep the Covenant functioning. The next position, the Executors. The different Watch Circles were led by a single Jedi Guardian who was given the title of Executor, and acted as a facilitator that managed the logistical details so that the group could perform their duties. They were chosen from those that lacked the capacity for precognition in order to ensure that such individuals did not alter the findings of the Watch Circle that they oversaw. In addition to this role, they also reported any findings of the Watch Circle to Hazen, as well as gave a report on their activities. Furthermore, they also acted independently, where they provided general security duties to the Jedi Covenant. And this concludes our brief look into the Jedi Covenant. Yeah. And folks, as always, I want to say thank you to Wikipedia, StarWars.com, TheForce.net, and other great Star Wars lore sites that are present. Folks, if you enjoy the Star Wars lore as much as I do, please visit these sites, look up your topics, go out and enjoy.
I do appreciate that, though. They basically set out to murder a bunch of Padawans to try to prevent a vision from happening, and it ended up being the catalyst for it happening.
Yes, and they were the reason for it. As Yoda once said, a vision that misunderstood.
A vision?
There's a reason you don't meddle.
One time Lord Scourge had a vision.
Yeah, look where it got us.
Well, he didn't really succeed, but he didn't really fail either. So, he did better than those guys.
Yeah, this is true. He's still up and about. He can still see the results of his vision, if ever it comes true or not. He's still plugging along.
So then, that takes us into the Community Holo feed, where first up is the Lore Masters Trivia Question of the Week, where each week we're going to post a trivia question into our YouTube video version of the show. Simply go to StarWarsBeyond.com and we'll link you right to the episode. On the episode page, there will be a button you press to see the trivia question at the end of the show. Then shoot us an email to StarWarsBeyond@gmail.com and include your character name, faction, the server you play on, and of course the answer to the question. The winner will get a cartel pack and also be entered into a grand prize drawing, which we're actually going to announce what you'll win next episode.
Dun dun dun.
Everybody get excited. Woo-hoo.
And this week, due to YouTube editing issues and the fact that the video was way late from January 5th's episode, we're going to go ahead and extend the question for another week. So next week we will actually announce the winner. So it'll be the same question last episode and this episode. So Good luck. And Lou, we actually got an email this week.
Oh my.
Yes, we did. And this email comes from Edward F. And Edward F. writes, "Hello, all."
Hi.
Hello, Edward. I was wondering what your thoughts are on the overall arc of SWTOR's storyline. Do you think it has lived up to the foreshadowing of a war to equal the Great Hyperspace War? Is there enough Republic versus Empire tension in the game? Or is the gameplay/development time demands going to push SWTOR towards two bickering sides versus an external enemy, similar to World of Warcraft's expansion model? What would you like to see happen in the story? More faction-specific flashpoints, or even a faction-specific operation? A living world like Guild Wars 2 with the destruction of major areas? Something else? Thanks, Edward, aka Play on Jedi Covenant.
I can say that I would like to see more bickering between the two factions rather than the whole, well, we're going to kind of work together to beat this bad guy, because I'm over that. I'm so over, let's join forces and beat the big bad guy. No.
See, I want to see that dual-sided war like really go back into full swing like it was from like 1 to 50.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm actually expecting is it's going to be the we join forces to beat a common enemy theme, because I mean, let's face it, Shadow of Revan, you're doing the exact same content on both factions. Like, we've completely moved away from each faction having its own content now.
I can say that is what I expect as well. I expect that because it costs less resources for them to do that. Make one planet, one set of NPCs, one big bad guy, one set of flashpoints, one set of cutscenes.
Right, and I'm gonna make a couple points on this. At least for Edward, what I'd like to see personally is, we need to go back to the Republic versus the Empire, because in the end, that's exactly what the game is about. Okay,
I think that's part of the reason why we moved away from that, though, is because we all know the Empire gets eradicated.
Well, in the end, yes, but we're at a point in the timeline to where that hasn't happened, so the war can go either way.
Well, that is true. We could always have the Empire get strong again.
Right, I mean, and even if you want to use real life as an example, I mean, let's go with the Second World War. Yeah, initially, the Axis powers had the advantage, had the element of surprise. Used their advantages to the point to where, they isolated, they took, Germany took over most, all of Europe, except for some neutral countries, all right? England was by itself. Russia was by itself. All right, Japan, dominating most of the Pacific. But then what happens, once the Allies get going, yes, the Allies don't win every battle, though. They will take their hits. They will take their losses. And we know what happens, obviously. But I think we can... I think I'll give the writers at BioWare the benefit of the doubt, saying you can come up with storylines that can bring us back to the war, since we're at war anyway at this point. At the end of your class story, the Empire and the Republic are back to war. And I think they can work it in now to where both sides have realized, that big external threat that we had to unite under to get rid of Revan, yes, that's gone, up and gone. And now we're back to the business at hand, which is, all right, the Empire is going to continue its conquest across the galaxy. The Republic is going to defend itself, and try to eradicate the Sith once and for all. And I think we need to go back to that.
I just find that nothing is more interesting than a complete total war. Like, I don't care about the big bad guy. I'm like, let him do his thing.
Yeah, I mean, because you have, again, I'm just going to reinforce what Paige said. Yeah, with the experience that you have a complete total war between these two factions, you can come up with some amazing storylines. And yes, going back to reinforcing Paige's point, I think the reason why they go to this one planet, one external enemy to unify against is because, maybe since they're limited on resources, time, budget, personnel, that they can only do one story like this at a time, that they no longer have the resources, or maybe they don't have the desire anymore to create content for both factions, which to me would be a shame if that's the case, because I don't mind doing the occasional mission of uniting against one common enemy, but my God, I'm wearing a Republic uniform, or I'm wearing an Imperial uniform. What the heck?
Well, that's the sad thing is Rise of the Hutt Cartel, we know that was in development around the time SWTOR launched. At least partially. The story was already written. They were working on it because all they kept talking about before they went free-to-play is that McHappy was going to be one of the largest free updates ever to come to an MMO for subscribers. It didn't end up panning out that way. We ended up having to buy it after free-to-play and all that hit. But they worked on that long before free-to-play was ever even announced. So, assumedly, most of McHappy, and if not most, a large chunk of that, was worked on around the same time that the game was in development. So that explains why McHappy had two different faction stories and was separated like that. And then move forward, the team is considerably smaller than it was at launch. They have far less people, and I don't think it makes practical sense to actually develop two completely different storylines for both factions. And I would be very surprised if we ever see them go back to that again.
I would be too. I agree. I wish it wasn't that way, though, just because, every planet from the beginning to McHappy, they all seem to be... You're there for your class story, your master or whatever sends you there. But the entire time you're there, all you're doing is in some way trying to sabotage or defeat or outmaneuver the other faction. It's a constant battle for that planet's resources, that planet's people, whatever. And then you get here and it's like, we're going to fly into the same port and everything. Hey, you want to talk to this guy? I'll stand here with you. Whatever, I'm going to shoot you in the foot.
At the very least, I don't want to see the whole, Lana and Theron thing repeated, where there's these two NPCs, one from each faction, and they're going to be buddy-buddy. If we got to do the same planets and even do the same quests, at least make it seem like we're not friends. We're just here for the same things.
Right. We can even go back to KOTOR 1, very first Knights of the Republic. All right, the very first time when you reach Manan, you find out Manan is a neutral world. All right, and both the Empire and the Republic are vying for the lion's share of Kolto from the Selkath. Okay, so even though there's no room for open conflict, because then that would draw the Selkath out and have them destroy the opposing faction, or the faction that violated the peace. It was great to see when you played that game, see the kind of underhanded wheeling and dealing that both sides were doing on Manan, behind the Selkath's back. Working deals in warehouses, or working deals with Selkath who they could corrupt or sway to their side, or have them believe in them, and work deals that way to try to gain an advantage. I'd like to see something like that happen. I think there's room for that. Where, you can't create, all right, maybe one planet, but you can't create two distinct storylines to where, all right, if I'm playing Republic characters on this one world, this is going to be my storyline. I'm going to subvert Sith influence on this world because we can't engage in open conflict here. Because, A, this is a planet we need intact. So, both sides realize we can't go to open war because then it would negate why we're here in the first place. Kind of like, we see it on Voss.
Yeah.
Right? Both sides vying for Voss, but you can't fight over it in the conventional way because the Voss will destroy either side. So I think there's room for that. But yeah, unfortunately, I think that's the main course now for future updates is the fact that, they can no longer devote time to developing two distinct stories to drive the game forward, which to me is sad because that's the root existence for Star Wars. Good and evil fighting each other. And if it's going to be, good and evil teaming up to take on something else.
Bigger evil.
Yeah, it to me that kind of negates why we're in Star Wars universe in the first place. I mean, yeah, it happens in the EU when you take on the Yuzhang Vong, but that's a huge, great external threat from another galaxy coming in. Both sides realize that, which we have with Shadow of Revan. But then, for the most part, what are we seeing in the EU? The Imperial Remnant's still fighting the New Republic up until the point where they both, where they sue for peace.
So we all pretty much agree that we want to see them do 2 stories, one for each faction, but none of us expect that.
Right. Yeah, none of us expect it. And, even to add in here, I'd like to see faction-specific flashpoints and operations.
I'll be very surprised if we ever see another flashpoint that doesn't start off as a tactical.
Right. And that too. But, I to answer Edward's questions, yes, I would like to see, me personally, I would like to see more faction-specific flashpoints and ops. Okay? And yeah, it would be great to have a living world like we see in, present-day Guild Wars 2, to where, yeah, they destroyed a major part of the world. Okay? They incorporated it into their storyline. It affected everyone's personal storyline in that game. And affected a whole bunch of things.
Well, if you give it quite a number of years, eventually they completely destroy an entire world in Star Wars. And right. I'm pretty sure that Alderaan disappearing affects somebody somehow.
Yes, but on this timeline, it's,
Vector probably can't hear from the nest at that point.
If he's...
Oh, he's still around. I already gave him the Rakul Plague and everything.
Oh, maybe in your game. Not on mine.
Oh.
But yeah, a living world, I mean... I think one of the reasons why BioWare chose to use the hero engine this way is the fact that they could drop in stuff like that. Events like we see at the Rakul Plague, all right, the Gree event. All right.
I kind of wish that they would go back to Ilum and just revamp that thing into a PvE planet and make it better.
Well, yeah, that too. That's one thing they should do, because it was touted as one thing. It completely hasn't been that for years. Yeah, we can't say years now.
Since launch, it was never what it was touted to be.
Mm-hmm. And to me, again, I personally think it's a waste that CZ-198 is a Dailies planet, but it has the potential to be so much more than that.
That's the thing too. Is there's no shortage of planets, stories, and species they can use. I mean, it's out there. It's just a matter of resources versus laziness. I memean, it's hard to pinpoint exactly what it is, and I don't know the direction they're going. They very well could go back to the whole war thing, but I don't see it happening. And I personally don't like working with someone I consider my enemy. It's like, imagine doing that in real life. The one person you can't stand happens to be with you all the time.
Well, that's the other risk that they run too, is if they keep doing these storylines where we're working together, and then say episode 7 comes out and SWTOR gets a huge influx of new players and the budget goes up, and then they can finally do a 2-faction expansion again, which I know this is all like blue skying here.
And class stories, yay!
Yeah, but if they can, even that, if they can do all that stuff again, people might not be into the 2-faction stuff at that point, because, I play Empire, but I've been working with Satele for so long now, I just can't go back to seeing her as an enemy.
I can.
Right? Or, even with when Shadow of Revan released, there were actually people who supported, putting Lana and Theron together as a couple.
What?
Some people were actually, they were actually advocating, hey, you know what, it'd be kind of cute to see them as a couple.
I hate some people.
Or the fact that, they're that stereotypical, romantic comedy to where they can't stand each other, but underneath it all, if the mood and the setting is right, yeah.
All I know is Theron definitely wanted my male operative. It was awkward for both of us.
And that is why I treated him like crap.
Yeah, and then Lana, I treated her like crap, because just look at her. So, Paige, what's going on in the SWTOR community?
Check out our fellow SWOTOR podcasts. Most of them are available on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, and at SWOTORnetwork.com. ToroCast at ToroCast.com. Corellian Run Radio at CorellianRun.com. UntiniCast at UntiniCast.com. The Unnamed SWOTOR Podcast at GaddockGaming.com. SWOTORscape Podcast at NewOverlords.com. Old Republic Radio on iTunes, Healing SWOTOR on iTunes, Enmity Podcast on iTunes, Tornoob on iTunes, and the Bad Feeling Podcast at badfeelingpodcast.com. Be warned, that is an explicit podcast. Also, follow Madmar at SWOTOR Family for the latest happenings in the SWOTOR community. If you'd like to have your podcast listed on this segment, send us an email at starwarsbeyond@gmail.com.
And now's the point when I tell you one last time how you can get a hold of us. You can find out more about our show at StarWarsBeyond.com. You can like us on Facebook at Facebook.com/StarWarsBeyondPodcast. You can send us an email to StarWarsBeyond@gmail.com. You can tweet us. The show is at StarWarsBeyond. I am at Sith Lord Corv. Lou is at GamerGuy11B. And Paige is at Asa Fiery. And now it's time for our final thoughts.
My final thought is, oh my god, Bioware, call me. I will fix the girl's hair.
My final thought. I'm going to get behind Edward F. I would hope, now that Shadow Revan is done, that BioWare does have plans for going back to the war between the two factions. We've done Shadow Revan. One thing I'm looking forward to is going back to the open conflict between the Republic and the Empire. Make it so.
And my final thought is that Talos Drellic looks more feminine than Lana Bonico.
That's saying a lot, folks.
Beyond the Stars is an independently recorded fan podcast made in association with NSG Productions. And now it's time to say goodnight.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone. Thank you all for joining us. See you all again next time.
Lana.
You've served your purpose.
Beyond the Stars trivia question for the weeks of January 5th and January 19th, 2015. First clue. I joined my order after the first violent debate of our philosophy. Second clue. As I grew in power, I was the first to learn the secrets of shaping anything through the Force. Third clue. I, and others like myself, were cast out and waged war on our brethren. Fourth clue. Wandering the stars, my followers and I would make our new home on a world whose people saw and felt the Force in different ways. Fifth clue. With this new knowledge and power, I would become the first of my kind, eager to spread our influence and seek our vengeance. Who am I? And as always, folks, please send your answer to StarWarsBeyond@gmail.com. And your email, please don't forget to include your character name, the faction you're playing with, and the server you are on. Good luck, everyone. Looking forward to seeing your answers.